Hi, my name is James Orvis, and today we're going to look at how to create a kick, a hat, and a snare using XFER's Serum. And I'm really excited about this tutorial because I found out that Serum is the ultimate kick making machine and snare making machine and things like that. And I'll show you a little bit later on why that is and how much shaping capabilities we've got, and we can really fine-tune the kick drum and get loads of different kind of kick drums out of it. So let's move on, and we'll start with the kick drum actually. And I've just got Serum set up here, and in this MIDI clip we've just got a 1, 2, 3, 4 beat classic techno house style kick pattern, and at the minute it sounds like this. And what we're going to do to start turning this into a kick drum is we're going to go over to oscillator A, and we're going to change this over to analog bass drum sine, and we can flick through these and select different ones, which I'm going to come on to later, but for now we're just going to leave it on this one. And then we're also going to turn random phase down as well, and the reason why I do that is so that the waveform starts at the same position every time to make the kick drum more solid. If you want a more analog unstable sound, maybe bring the randomness up a little bit, but we're just going to make a really solid kick drum sample. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to shape the kick drum. So we're going to use envelope 1, and we're going to send that to the level after we've brought it down. And what we're going to do is bring the sustain right down, and we're going to start to shape the decay a little bit. So we'll press play and have a listen while we're doing this. Add a little bit of release in there as well. And we're going to come back to these things later on and tweak these a little bit further depending on what kick drum sound we end up with. And what we're going to do next is to make it sound even more like a kick drum, we're going to go to LFO1, make sure this is switched to envelope mode. And the reason why we're using LFO1 instead of envelope 2 is that you have more customized shaping capabilities with this. Like for instance, we double click here and we can draw in points wherever we like to really get unique shapes out of it. And we're going to use this a lot when we come to creating the claps. So we're going to create a really snappy envelope like this. Let's try that, see what that sounds like. Maybe bend that a little bit. And we're going to send this to the course on oscillator 1. And as you start to bring this up, it'll start to sound more like a kick drum now. So the next thing we're going to do now we've shaped the envelopes is we're just going to tune the kick a little bit. So let's maybe bring it down an octave, see what this sounds like. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a bit more click to the sound. And if you're not using Serum, what you could do is use the noise generator. And obviously we're going to start with this on the Serum, but then I'm going to show you a cool little trick that's within Serum as well to get different sounds for the top end of the kick drum. And we're going to use envelope 2, and we're going to send that to the noise level. And you could use envelope 1, but I like to have a little bit more control over the click and make it sharper. So yeah, you bring the level down, and then you can dial this into taste. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create another kind of snappy envelope. So you've also got the pitch there as well. You can change the pitch, and you can also change the decay and open it up. Another thing that this is quite cool for is you can play around with this noise and bring it in within your track, which you couldn't do with a kick drum sample. You'd have to add a noise layer in there. But if we open this up, it's got that real nice analog flavor to it, and you can kind of open the release up as well and create little moments where the noise opens up. And then another thing we can do is we can flick through the different noises within Serum. So you get loads of different flavors from that. What we're going to do now is we're going to remove the modulator. I'm going to remove envelope 2, and we're actually going to go into this and go into the attacks kick. And this is brilliant. There's all of these different options here. and you can spend hours just going through them and getting different flavors for the kick. I really, really like this. And you don't have to add an envelope as well, you can just open it up. And what we're going to do actually is we're going to click on this little button here to make it into sample mode. So it's like one-shot mode. So it's brilliant, you can really flick through that and find the top end of your kick which really suits your track. The one that fits in with the clap and the hats and doesn't clash with them too much. You can really sculpt it. And you can also change the pitch of these as well to get different sounds. Kind of like it there, we'll leave it there for now. So yeah, there's the top end click, and we've also got the fundamental kick going, and also this opening of the course, which works really well in conjunction with each other. And next we're going to look at just shaping it even more. So if we go back to the oscillator, you can play around with the wavetable position as well for different styles. So let's just have a listen to these. So that's pretty cool. And then we can also change the phase as well. So if you can like move the phase position, the start position, and this is just another element where you can kind of change the sound quite drastically. So let's have a little flick through this. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. And now we've kind of got like a nice deep kick sound. What we can do is we can then tune it to our track, whatever that is. And basically you can, instead of using the tuning, we can keep the sound as it is and just move the MIDI notes. So yeah, you can tune it that way. And finally, what we can do is go into the effects, and we can add things like distortion. So I really like that, it's quite nice. And then you can also add in maybe compressor as well. Which makes it a bit punchier. So there's the first example, which is how to create a kick drum. And by modulating some of the settings that I've shown you, some of the parameters, like if we open up the decay on this and move these around a little bit, and also the decay and sustain and release of this, and also you've got the pitch and the different settings within the noise section, and also you can change the WT position, and you can also change the phase as well, and you can even go in and start to mess around with different waveforms. And then lastly, the effects section, we've got the distortion and compression. You could add things like maybe even adding a slight bit of reverb on there, and also playing around with the EQ. There's so much shaping opportunities within Serum alone before adding on extra plugins as well. And the beauty of working this way and making kick drums this way is that you can really get stuck in and shape the kick drum perfectly to the sound of your track. So in this next example, we're going to look at how to create a clap sound in Serum, and I'll show you a few options of how you can shape the clap as well towards the end. So let's get started with this one. So first we're going to go to oscillator A, and we're going to choose an oscillator that has a lot of harmonic content, so you can flick through these and choose one to your liking. Let's have a quick flick through. Probably going to go with distorted C2, so it's something with a lot of spectral content in there. is what you want to be going for. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to oscillator B and switch this to analog BD sine. You can use any sine wave really. And we're going to bring the level down on this because we're just going to use it to affect the frequency modulation of oscillator A. So what you want to do is you want to go over to this little bit here and click on FM from B and turn this up till you get something that sounds similar to this. And the next thing we're going to do is to add some noise to the mix. So if you click noise on, and you can select kind of any noise, but we're going to go with bright white. And we're going to switch this to keyboard mode, tune it up maybe 12 semitones. And we're also going to bring the level down on this one and also this level knob here as well. And the reason for that is that we're going to use LFO1 to shape the opening of these oscillators. So if we start by going over to the grid, make sure you've got this on 16. And we want this on envelope mode. And we want to turn the BPM off as well so we can change the rate like this. We'll start off at 1.9 hertz and then we'll start to play around with that later on to get different clap shapes and tones. And what you want to do is you want to create a shape that looks a little bit like this. So if you go in there and double click and then you can hold down Alt, which will snap it to the 16th grid that we made. And just go in and create something that looks like this. And then you can start to shape these a little bit as well. So let's stick that one there. Let's make them all a little bit different. And you can go in and change these a little bit. So let's just go in and make sure they're all a bit different as well. And then you can open this up and just bring the decay down so you get a shape that looks something similar to this. And what we're going to do is we're going to send this LFO1 to the level. So the level of this one. And maybe bring that down just a little bit. We'll tune that a little bit later. And also send it to the noise oscillator as well so it opens up fully. And we're also going to send it to FM as well. So let's have a look, quick listen, see what we've got going on there. So yep, sounding a little bit more like a clap now, rather than just the tone that we had earlier. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to change the overall envelope shape of the clap sound that we've got going on. So we're just going to use envelope 1 and bring the sustain down, maybe turn the hold up a little bit. So it opens up quite a little bit at the beginning. And then we can go ahead and change the shape of the decay. So I'm just going to press play and we're going to play around with this. Yep, something like that will work for us. And the next thing we're going to go and do is we're going to switch on the filter and make sure you've got N turned on as well, so that's so the noise goes through the filter and not just oscillator A. Don't worry about B because we've obviously got the level down at the moment. And we're going to go to multi and we're going to select BN12. And let's start to shape this a little bit using the cutoff, the resonance and the drive as well. So I'll just give the drive a little bit of a boost and we'll start to shape this. So around there will work for us for now. We'll come back again. This is another part that we'll shape later on. Now we've got the basic clap sound. What we're going to do is we're going to add some effects, mainly this hyperdimension one and also the reverb as well. And this is just to add a little bit more depth and a little bit more realism to the clap sound. So let's just switch reverb off for now and we'll start with this one. So turn hyper down, we're just going to use the dimension part of it. And if I start to bring this up, so you can kind of play around with that and tune that to taste. And then we're going to add a bit of reverb as well. So that works really nicely for me, just adds a bit more depth and a bit more realism to the sound. And now we've kind of created our clap sound, what we can do is we can start to shape this a little bit further. So the options that you've got for shaping the sound is the reverb size and decay and things like that, and also the mix, so we can make it wetter or drier. And we've also got things like the rate here, so you can play around with this. And lastly, the cutoff as well. So you could go for something like a short clap like that and add a little bit more reverb to it. So that sounds quite nice. And also you've got the FM as well, so we can start to kind of shape it with the FM knob as well. So you could go around and play with the depth. Or you can actually move this around as well. And then you've also got the oscillators as well, so you could potentially go in and maybe change the noise oscillator. So that's going to give you different flavors, and also you can change the pitch as well of the noise. And maybe change the oscillator as well. I don't think this will add too much to it, but we can try, so let's just flick through some of these. So I mean, yeah, those kind of things combined, you can give subtle changes to the overall clap sound. And another thing that I'll touch upon as well is also the shaping at the bottom. If we wanted to, we could potentially change these a little bit, so move them up and down, make them a little bit different. We could even add in like more points as well, more clap points. So there's fundamentals of making a clap sound in Serum, and now we're going to move over to the last and final one, which is to create a hat. In this last example, we're just going to take a quick look at how to make a hat with Serum. And you can, again, same as like the claps and the kicks, you can get so many different flavors by playing around with oscillators and the noise oscillator and effects and envelopes and things like that. So I'll just take you through kind of like a bit of an exploration into some of the possibilities that we can get from this synth. So let's start by just simply using the noise oscillator, and we'll come on to maybe bleeding in some of these oscillators as well. But just alone with this noise oscillator, you can get so many different hat variations and tones from this. So actually, before we do that, we'll just make like a simple kind of sharp decay for the hat. And let me just turn this level up. So we'll start with that for now. And some of the options that we've got on here is that we can go into analog and we can maybe select like the bright white or any of these. The J106 HP is quite nice as well, so we'll flick through these. Maybe we'll start with that one. And you can change the pitch of it. And also if you turn up the random, it means that every hit's going to be slightly different. If you want that kind of really old school kind of analog feel to it. But we'll just keep it on 0 at the minute. And what we're going to do next is maybe just shape this a little bit better. That's quite nice. So already we've got a basic hat sound. And you can go ahead and do things like add the filter to it. Let's use the same filter we used last time, which is the BN12. Really nice, that one, just for kind of shaping the top end. And what we can do is we can do what we did in the last one, where you just bring it up like this. So you get a really nice lo-fi kind of hat sound there. As we go through this, you'll just hear these different kind of tones and hats that you can get out of it. Kind of like that, it's quite nice. And then we could go into the effects and maybe add in, I found phasers quite nice for this actually. If you turn down the depth. So you can just get loads of different tones from that alone. And you can bleed that into the original sound. And also while we're here, you can also add like a bit of reverb in there as well. Maybe we'll make the reverb quite high passed. I'm not too keen on the reverb within Serum for stuff like this, so you could use an external reverb, but just for demonstration we'll add this in, see what this sounds like. Yeah, it just adds a little bit extra in there. Let's shape this a bit better. And we could go back now and we could add in maybe like a tone from oscillator here. So you could go in and add, say, the basic shapes, and we'll just use a sine wave, pitch this up. Maybe we can send this envelope to that level knob. So if you wanted to add a little bit of a tone in there, but then you can go ahead and use frequency modulation again. Let's just select a random wave. Let's go in again, just any of these, maybe that one, see what this does. And you can just experiment really and just see what different tones you can get out for it. Record the results out and then you end up with like a big bank of different styles of hats to use in your track. So let's just go ahead and turn this down. Turn this off just so we can hear what we're doing. So you get some really nice kind of metallic textures out of this, which you can then add to the noise sample, the noise to make it a little bit more realistic sounding. Like it's actually got a metallic flavour to it rather than just the analog noise. So they went through how to make kick, hats and claps in Serum, the fundamental basics of how to start to generate those sounds. I hope that's been really helpful. Maybe in later videos we'll cover these aspects in more detail with more processing and effects and things like that. If you'd like to see that, drop us a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, I'd like to know how you guys making percussion sounds, if you are making them yourself or if you're just using samples. Let us know that in the comments below. What's your favourite tools for doing this? What's your favourite synthesizers? Do you use Serum a lot or do you use other different VSTs? I'd love to hear your thoughts. My name's James Orvis. Hope you've enjoyed this video and I will catch you next time.